The Trump administration is weaponizing the FCC to punish speech it doesn't like. A free press is supposed to hold power accountable. Yes or no, does the FCC have the power to take licenses away from network affiliates solely for the content of their news coverage? Does the standard allow the FCC to censor or interfere with broadcasters' free speech under the First Amendment? I just want a yes or no here.
Violate the First Amendment, it doesn't constitute
So where do you come
censorship.
down? Is it yes or no? I want to just hear from you, yes or no?
Sir, could you repeat it?
Yes or no? I mean, just don't quote the Supreme Court. Where are you? Yes or no?
Unique among all other distributors of news and information because they have a license.
I don't need a speech now. Does the public interest include informing the public about what their government, including ICE, is doing in their local community? Yes or no? The Trump administration is weaponizing the FCC to punish speech it doesn't like. A free press is supposed to hold power accountable. Commissioner Gomez, President Trump has threatened to revoke the licenses of NBC and ABC, claiming they're biased and give him only bad publicity or press. Yes or no, does the FCC have the power to take licenses away from network affiliates solely for the content of their news coverage?
No, they do not.
Okay. Chairman Carr has consistently used the FCC's news distortion policy to justify investigating broadcasters. Can you briefly describe the news distortion policy and whether, in your view, it allows the FCC to revoke or not renew a broadcast license for perceived bias?
Thank you for that question. So the news distortion policy covers local broadcasters broadcasting news about a significant event. But it requires intentionality to mislead about a significant event, not merely an incidental event. And it also cannot be used if you just simply disagree with the content and if it's just an incidental mistake. Now, the courts have looked at the constitutionality of the doctrine, and what they've said is, under the constitutional scrutiny, because we are looking at deliberate distortion and not just mere inaccuracy or a difference of opinion, that it would uphold the constitutionality of the news distortion policy. Under this FCC, however, we appear to be using the news distortion policy to go after any content that we don't like, and using that in conjunction with this vague public interest standard.
Okay. Chairman Carr, the Communications Act requires broadcasters to serve the public interest. Does that standard allow the FCC to censor or interfere with broadcasters' free speech under the First Amendment? I just want a yes or no here.
What the Supreme Court has said on this issue is that, quote, no one has a First Amendment right to a license. So the FCC enforcing the public interest standard on broadcasters, according to the Supreme Court, doesn't violate the First Amendment and doesn't constitute
So where do you come
censorship.
down? Is it yes or no? I want to just hear from you. Yes or no?
Sir, could you repeat it?
Yes or no? I mean, just don't quote the Supreme Court. Where are you? Yes or no?
Look, the FCC has an obligation to enforce the public interest, and that's very unique as to broadcasters. Again, if you step back, broadcasters are unique among all other distributors of news and information because they have a license.
I don't need a speech now. Does the public interest include informing the public about what their government, including ICE, is doing in their local community? Yes or no?
The core ingredient of the public interest standard is to identify the needs of your local community and make sure you're meeting that.
Okay, so it's a yes, right?
Broadcasters have an obligation to identify and meet the needs of the local communities they serve.
Okay. When you talk about the public interest, does the public include Americans who disagree with the president? I just want a yes or no here.
Does the public include people that disagree with the president?
Who disagree with the
Yes.
president when you talk about public interest? Does that include Americans who disagree with the president? I just want a yes or no.
Yes, the public includes people that
Okay.
disagree with the president.
In 2021, you wrote that a newsroom's decision about what stories to cover and how to frame them should be beyond the reach of any government official. Do you stand by that today? Yes or no?
Yeah, in that context, there were members of this committee that wrote letters to cable companies, which again aren't broadcasters, no public interest obligation, and they pressured those cable companies to drop cable channels, Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax, because the members of this committee described them as right-wing outlets. I think when the Democrats on this committee did that, it was wrong.
Okay. So, to recap, we agree that broadcasters are protected by the First Amendment. Is that right?
Yes.
The public interest includes informing communities about government action, correct? And the FCC, a government agency, shouldn't influence newsrooms' decisions, correct? Okay. So why did the FCC open an investigation into KCBS in San Francisco after it covered the January 26th ICE raid in San Jose?
The FCC, I believe, received either a complaint or we heard concerns about that specific radio station, and we've raised those concerns. I believe we've heard back from that radio station, and we have nothing new to share to update on that investigation.
Okay, so,
That's time.
excuse me? Did I lose my time?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman Hudson, Ranking Member Matsui, for convening this hearing. Given the actions of the FCC under Chairman Carr, it's long overdue. Less than 1 year into his tenure, the FCC under Chairman Carr has given this committee many worthy avenues of exploration and oversight, most of which appear to stem from his new role as an obsequious partisan fulfilling President Trump's desire to exact revenge on his perceived enemies and line the pockets of the oligarch class. While appearing before this committee less than 4 years ago under the Biden administration, then Commissioner Carr rightly acknowledged the independence of the FCC, free from executive branch interference, but recently made clear that under the Trump administration, that independence is gone. While this may seem like a shocking about-face, it shouldn't be that surprising given Mr. Carr's role as author of the horrific Project 2025 manifesto, as well as the frankly bizarre choice to wear a golden lapel pin bearing President Trump's face. The weaponization of the FCC under Chairman Carr is not just frustrating, but dangerous. Dangerous for the nation and the ideals upon which it was founded. Individuals' freedom of speech and a press corps free from political intimidation are vital to a democracy. It's what also allows informed citizens to speak their minds without fear of government reprisal and serves as an important check on those in power. Unfortunately, these ideals are lost under this iteration of the FCC, which appears bound to the whims of a president intent on punishing those who report accurately on his unsettling behavior. Because my time is limited, I can't possibly list every example of the weaponization of the FCC in the last year, but a few that come to mind include reinstating complaints against news organizations that were critical of Trump during the election, while failing to reinstate a petition filed against the president's media outlet of choice, Fox. Ordering baseless investigations into NPR and PBS, using mergers to extract political revenge, and more, such as withholding approval of the Paramount Skydance merger until Trump's personal lawsuit was settled with financial payment. Launching a ridiculous investigation into KCBS in San Jose for merely reporting on ICE activity in their own community. Threatening to unilaterally alter national media ownership limits, which would reduce diversity in media and further endanger local news. Overtly partisan reinterpretations of the FCC's public interest standard and news distortion policies to enact a regime of censorship. And most notably, the overt threatening of licenses of broadcasters for carrying Jimmy Kimmel Live's show. To the last point, Senator Cruz, who I rarely agree with, aptly described Chairman Carr's threats as akin to something out of a mafia movie. And let me just say, I don't see any Michael Corleones in this room today, only Alfredo. So my question is to Commissioner Gomez. For nearly 90 years, the FCC has functioned as an independent agency to insulate communications policy from political pressure. Can you explain why the FCC's independence is essential to its credibility and effectiveness, and what potential risks arise as that independence is eroded?
Thank you for that question. You know, when Congress created our predecessor, the Federal Radio Commission, it considered putting the commission under the Department of Commerce. And Herbert Hoover at the time said it was a terrible idea because it was dangerous to have the regulator of the most important communications medium at the time being overseen by a single person. And so that's why it created an independent agency. It's important to have an independent agency because we must be seen as an expert body that makes decisions based on that expertise and not based on the political whims of one administration.
Commissioner Gomez, how do FCC media ownership caps support diversity of viewpoints and locally focused news? And what do communities risk losing if these limits are weakened?
Our core principles when we talk about the public interest in local broadcasting are localism, diversity of viewpoints, and competition. The caps ensure that we have multiple voices in every market. That is why we have them. We want to ensure that we have that. If we lose those caps, what we are going to lose is that diversity of viewpoints, and we risk having one voice funneling all the information to our voters.